Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Ndegwa. Now, at the very beginning of the show, I asked the question, just how adventurous are you? Well, if you ask me, not that much. The most I've done is cycle at Karura and maybe jet skiing in Diani, but that's just about that. Now, I am joined today by a crazy explorer. I'll do the crazy in quotes because whatever he's doing is a lot. He has taken it upon himself to traverse Africa, and not by, a cars or a plane. He is doing it on foot. Pablo Nemo, the explorer, is on the program with us today. Pablo, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you on here as well. I just want to know, my colleague asked, just what exactly is the motive? And I want to get straight into it. Like, where did this come from? Take me back to when you first had that thought of, I want to walk through Africa.
Well, this thought of a long journey come a long time ago. I always been very passionate about travels, and doing it in a very pure way, in a raw way. But it is true that specifically this journey, the main idea came during the pandemic, right? Or when the pandemic in Europe was starting to go a little bit lower. When I go out on the street, I just felt very disconnected from the society that I was feeling. I feel like I don't belong to the Western society anymore, which is a very strong thought. But just that's what was on my mind. So I really don't have a specific answer, if I'm honest with you. It just came like something inside of me, like a call, like, Pablo, you need to go, to find yourself, to connect with the planet, right? There's so much out there to see, to experience, to explore. So, I just decided, I prepared myself, and then I started to think, like, in all the ways possible to traverse a continent or to do a long journey. How is it, like people speeding by bicycle, motorbike, hitchhiking. And then just came this random thought on my mind, like, what about if I walk? Would that be possible? How would that be? And then I started to prepare myself to see how many people accomplished it in history. So far, I found 6 people that walked the length of Africa. And I saw how many interesting stories they had in their lives and how crazy our experience it was, right? I was like, wow. So then, on November 2021, I left my home in Madrid, Spain. I flew to Cape Town, South Africa. And then I started to walk from South Africa all the way until here in Nairobi, Kenya. That's where the journey began, in South Africa. And I would just want to know, like, what were you doing before you started this adventure? Well, before, I've been a professional dancer for 14 years of my life. My career started way earlier, when I was 15, 16, 14, when I was in my teenager era. And then I just started my career in London, in the UK. Then I moved to the United States. I was in Los Angeles training with some of the best people in the industry. That's where I really got into my career 100% until nowadays, which obviously I'm not dancing professionally right now, but I'm dancing along the way, of course, with all communities and people, because Africa is dance. So, yeah. Yeah. The name Nemo, I'm sure many people know that name from the animation film Finding Nemo. Is that where it came from? Because Nemo is kind of like an explorer as well. Kind of like. I'm straight up from the movie. Straight up. So, I mean, it's a simple nickname that people gave me when I was in my early ages of dancing as a teenager. It came just like a funny nickname, and then I just stay with it until nowadays. So yeah, that's how I use it now, Pablo Nemo. Yeah. So what's the aim? What's your end goal? It's all about the beauty of the planet, to be honest. I could give you like 100 reasons why and this and that, but it's all about the planet. When you're out there on the road, and if people that go long distances or long journeys nowadays is listening to me, they would understand that the way you connect with the planet is something Absolutely amazing. You feel overwhelmed. Every day is a new day. You just feel connected with all the surrounding environment that is around you. You know, it's really something very amazing. So my main aim is to show the beauty of the planet. I want to inspire the humanity to live connected with the planet and to go for their dreams. That's my main aim, my main goal.
One must be very brave to take on such a challenge. Don't you agree? Like, it takes courage to be on such a journey.
It is, but it also is all about vision and alignment with the voice of your soul. Right? Like, I believe a lot of humans nowadays in this planet, we've been silent to the voice that we have in our soul to follow our dreams because of different reasons. We got to the point of belief, oh, my work is more important than what I feel in my soul, you know, or this problem is more important. No, this person is not giving me a like on Instagram. How come? That is really important right now in my life. Wow, it is not. The important is, what do you come here for? What is your soul standing for? Right? So I just answered that to myself. I was like, what I'm here for. I love dancing, it's my passion, but the planet is there for to be explored. It's my home, you know. I want to see what we have right now and also what the next generations to come will see. So yeah, it's all about commitment, vision, and listen to your inner voice that we all have in us.
Yeah. How was the preparation process like for you? I'd love to get into that. Like, before you took that flight to go to South Africa, how well did you prepare yourself? Like, did you have a map planned out? Just take me through that process.
It was not very, very, very crazy, you know, as people may think. I absolutely trained myself on the gym, on even on the mountains surrounding Madrid, you know, to trek, to get a bit of like the vibe of the journey with my backpack, with a 10-12 kilo backpack, to understand how it feels. Of course, when you're on the route in South Africa, it's a total different story, but just to get a little bit. And preparation process was more in terms of mentally, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I know it's going to be a long time. I need to be committed to it, right? And then maybe on the other side of preparation is more to tell your people, your surroundings, like, hey, I'm going to do this, you know? And just listen to them. And some people will be like, no, you're not going to do it. That is impossible. That is crazy. Or some people will be like, okay, take your chances. This is your dream. Go for it, you know? So in the whole preparation, I would say is more of like a physical, half mental. But if I have to give like a more preparation thing, it would be more mentally, you know? Maybe for the 8 months before I started the journey, that's when I really commit to prepare.
Yeah, I can imagine the reaction that your family had when you told them, yo guys, adios muchachos, I'm out. I'll be going for several days, because so far you've done more than 600 days. So how was that for them?
Yeah, I love the adios muchachos. That's a very nice one. They were silent, most of the people. Like how you tell them like, I'm gonna walk the entire length of Africa, people will be silent. They will be like, okay, you know, but then they understood it's something deeper there, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't take much in consideration like external influences. I was just like, this is for myself. I will do it for myself. Whoever that believes in me is welcome. If they don't, the only person that needs approval for what I'm gonna do, it's me, it's myself. So when you're very committed to that, the rest, it really doesn't matter. You just go for it, you know?
Yeah. So you're alone on this journey. You're alone.
Completely alone.
Does it not get lonely?
It does. It does. But it's also one of the learnings of this journey, you know? When you're alone, you learn how to be with yourself, which is something very important, right? Like nowadays, of course, we are surrounding a lot of different stimuli, you know, like all over, from the Instagram or the social media or anything that surrounds you. When you're alone, you are really with yourself, and in a very deep way, right? You wake up with the sunrise, you go down with the sunset, you go to sleep with the sunset. The way you interact with people when you're alone is much more deeper, right? So you have the time to develop a spiritual journey within yourself that in other way you cannot do it. So it's very intense. Sometimes it's something that you wish, like, oh, like I hope we had someone here with me, you know, just to share this moment. But most of the time that you're alone, it's a blissful moment. It's very powerful, and you are really in a growing space. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten to a point where you're just like, I think I made the wrong decision. I want to quit. I want to go back home. This is too much.
Of course, it is extreme moments when you can feel like that, you know. And even like I talk about it with myself, like, well, like, why am I doing this? Like, it really, you cannot have good days every day, right? But at the end, even if you want to quit sometimes and all that, that becomes part of the journey. But not only of this journey, that the journey of life. It is like this. Like, maybe you're doing something that you're very passionate for a lot of time in your life, but you want to quit because you feel like, this is not for me, or you have ups and downs. It's okay. It's just to have the internal conversation with you, and be like, okay, it's natural to feel like this, but my purpose is bigger, and I'm going to overcome, and I'm gonna make it, right? So that's what I like. I try to make like a positive thought on it, you know, and go stronger on it. So whatever I have like these down thoughts, I'm like, no, like, get yourself together and keep going. Yeah.
What sets you apart from other explorers? You say that you researched and saw that there are other people who have done the same thing. So just what sets you apart?
Well, every journey is different, right? I cannot compare myself to others, because for every person, their journey is special for a reason. Plus, I don't think it's me, maybe the person that needs to answer like, I am different because of this, right? What I know is because I am doing this. So as I told you before, the only person that needs recognition for what I'm doing is myself. And I don't do it for self-glory or, you know, to be out there like, oh, like, you did it. No, my main aim is I'm gonna do this for myself and for the beauty of the planet. And right now I'm recording a movie documentary on my journey, and that's what I want to show. I want to show the spiritual journey that we're all going through. So in terms of comparison, I think I really do respect all the people that gets out there on the road. They deserve my respect in any way that they do it. So I cannot compare myself to them, because all of them, they're doing something super amazing, and they're going out there taking the risk of you know, following their dreams. So yeah.
Yeah. How many countries have you done so far, and how many are remaining? How many are you planning to cover generally? My initial plan was 11 countries. Right now, Kenya is my country number 8. It is true that now is a challenge presenting, which is Sudan, because the countries that I have left are Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt, of course, still Kenya. But in Sudan, as everyone knows, now it's going through a conflict. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to really go through Sudan. We'll have to search for an alternative on the way, which is also fine. But that would be, of course, like, interesting, you know, in terms of like how I'm going to deal with all that bureaucracy, maybe just to get in the country if I can, or we'll see how it goes. But 11 countries was the original purpose. Yeah. 8 down.
8 down already. Yes.
We have 54 countries in Africa. How did you narrow down to the 11? If I'm honest with you, I was looking for the most iconic, maybe. You know, it was my first time exploring this Africa in this way, so I really dream about the Victoria Falls, Zambezi River, Kilimanjaro, Serengeti, Masai Mara, reach the pyramids of Egypt. I wanted to do something like that felt iconic in a way, you know, or for how I felt iconic. I'm not saying that the other countries of Africa are not iconic. I'm not saying that at all. But for the way I envision it, I was like, East Africa, I don't know, I just connected with the Kalahari. There was a lot of stimulus for my personal purpose that I felt interested. So that's why, okay, let me go East rather than Western. Okay, you just mentioned the Kalahari Desert, and you've gone through the Kalahari, actually the driest point of the Kalahari Desert. And my question is, did you have enough supplies, or how do you go about it? Like, do you cook along the way? You know, do you have enough water? What if you're in a place where there are no shops? For example, at the Kalahari, how do you go about that? Well, the
Kalahari Desert crossing, I did not cross the entire desert, because the desert is not only in a country. I was crossing through Botswana, but the desert is in South Africa and also a part of Namibia, right? So basically, in terms of food and water, it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge. Water, I took it from the rain sometimes because I was doing it in the rain season, so it gave me a window of collect water from the rain. But also on the small villages that I was finding on the way, you got the locals collecting water in buckets, big buckets from the rain. So that allowed me also to interact with them and collect water. But water was a real challenge because I was maybe having access to a liter or less than a liter per day. So that means that while you're walking, you're sweating, you're losing a lot of water, you need to restore it. So that was a big challenge. I was like 20 days in the Kalahari, kind of like in and out, trying to figure out my way through. And then in terms of food, very basic peanut butter, oats. And then the locals just discovered me a fruit on the desert called mosumo, which is like a green tomato inside that you can chew it. And that also keeps you like a little bit going, but mostly about peanut butter and oats. That was my entire diet.
You eat? I mean, is that good for your health?
No, it's not actually. I think the Kalahari Desert, now when I look at the footage, I probably lost 5-6 kilos just on the Kalahari Desert. Plus mentally, it was a big challenge, not talking much to people, being alone for so many days, heat and then huge storms, and just like you have to overcome every single day a lot. And yeah, that was a big challenge. That was a big challenge.
Okay. Now, Pablo, I know there are people who are watching from home and they're just like, is this guy being serious? So don't you take cars at all? Like, are you just on foot throughout? And when you come to cross, say, lakes, what happens?
Yeah.
Just for the doubting Thomases who are just like, this guy is just kind of playing with us.
Sure. I do have these questions a lot, and I'm always honest because it is what it is. I do walk, and then I do take cars when and only when. For example, I want to go to the coast. Okay, so let's say, for example, I walked, for example, from Namanga to Nairobi, which took me 8 days to accomplish. And then once I was in Nairobi, I wanted to go to the coast. Okay, so in terms of visa and all that, it would be so hard and crazy just to be like, okay, now I'm gonna walk to the coast, up and down, make it back. That is not possible. Or if it is possible, but it's not very comfortable to do it, especially for the body. So I just allow myself to, for example, take a train. I went all over the coast of Kenya, and I enjoy myself, and that gives me oxygen to my mind also. And then when I come back into Nairobi, then I walk back to Ethiopia, So, for example, when it's a coastline, as in Tanzania and Kenya, I did that, Or, for example, a very exceptional case, if I have something that I really want to see 70, 80, 90 kilometers out of my way, then I can hitchhike, go see it, and then come back. But mainly I'm walking in an uninterrupted way. That's why I've been more than 600 days already in Africa.
Yeah.
So the cars is a very exceptional way, Here in Kenya I've done it, and it's beautiful, but it's not the way I do it usually. Yeah.
Okay, you're mainly on foot. It's just that when you need to take a car, that's when you take a car.
Yes, but walking. This purpose is walking, and then that's how I do it. Yeah. I'm not like, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna take a car. No. I can rest, and then tomorrow I carry on. But I'm not like feeling comfortable. Okay, let me take a car. Then no.
What do you do in this country? Say you've landed in Botswana. What are the activities that are taking place?
Well, it's not activities. I go with the flow, literally. I just enter the country, and then I just decide as I go, like how I do it. How I talk to people, how I approach the communities. It's interesting to go and check on the Kavango Delta. Then I'll go. Or of course I need to see the Victoria Falls. Then I'll go. But what happens in between is really absolutely with the flow as I go. I don't plan much. I just go.
Okay. Pablo says he just goes with the flow. We'll go on with this conversation, but right now, let's take a very short break. We'll be back. Welcome back. Pablo is in studio with us, and he is just taking us through the journey that he is taking, a journey where he is traversing Africa on foot. Pablo, you've been through so many countries, 8 already. Do you go along picking maybe some languages? I had you asking hapa in Swahili, and I was like, what? I thought you only know Jambo. So do you go about picking languages, and have you picked all the some language from all the countries?
Yeah, I think the language that I most pick actually is Swahili. All languages are different. Some of them are very hard for me to know. Of course, as I go on the way, I pick up some words that can be useful for me, as good morning, or what about this or that. But Swahili, I think, is the one that I most pick, right? Like mambo, asante sana, poa poa, sawa. Like I know everybody would be laughing, like, what is this guy doing? But yeah,
no,
like
actually, the pronunciation is actually on point.
Is it good? Is it good? There you go. So or like here in Kenya, people say when you're about to have lunch, like chakula poa, or something like this. I don't know. I found it interesting. And for me, it's funny, to learn all these languages, to get with the communities, and it's also a way to break the ice sometimes when you get in a place. So yeah, I love it. Yeah.
What lessons have you picked along the way?
Well, that's a very deep question, actually. Main lesson, I think, is to be present with your life, to be present today, what you are doing. When you walk, is the most important way of feeling present what we are doing right now, with your thoughts, with your spirit. And also to just don't worry about past or future. Universe, I really believe universe will provide. Life will adjust your vision. So this is I think is one of the main lessons, And also, just now that you told this question, I just remember one quote from Will Smith, I just saw like some weeks ago, that he was saying that happiness is peace, right? I think he was very right with that. And peace is one of the main things that I've been getting through all this journey. When you are in peace, like, wow, that really feels like you are comfortable with yourself, So yeah, happiness is peace. I would say it really represents one of the biggest lessons that I've learned all the way. Yeah.
How do you stay in communication while on this journey? Because you need to get maybe a new line when you get to every country. Maybe there are places where the internet is not really good. So how do you stay in touch with everyone else?
I don't do that much, to be honest. I'm not the kind of person that every time that I get in a country, I get a SIM card or anything like this. For example, here in Kenya, I do. But on all the other countries, I didn't. When I get Wi-Fi or any kind of connection, then yes, then I get the time to be like, hey, I'm okay. Maybe I upload some pictures and stuff. But also to be very connected disconnects you from the main aim, which is the nature and what is out there. So that's like a personal decision that I made. I tell my people like, hey, I'm gonna be disconnected for this long until you will know about me again.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that, So yeah, that was a very decision that I made from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, not to be very connected.
Yeah, you want to be connected with nature. That's your aim, right?
It is.
Yeah. So what are some of the physical challenges that you've had to go through?
Well, physical challenges, it happens every day, especially maybe walk on the rain is hell sometimes, or with extreme temperatures, which here in Africa mostly is heat. That is when the physical challenge really comes in, because it's not only the amount of kilometers that I'm setting that day, which usually is 20, 25. It comes also maybe the terrain, or as I'm saying, the heat, right? Maybe you don't have much water on you, and you know that you need to make maybe 20 kilometers to the next village. Like, that's when the fun parts come a little bit, right? When you have to be like, okay, I gotta make it, or make decisions also, which decisions also are very important, right? Of like, okay, I'm not doing it, and then I'm gonna rest, and then I'll see tomorrow, even if I don't have water, or I keep going, even that I'm not feeling very well, right? So sometimes you have to deal with that. Plus, I've been sick sometimes. I've been in the hospital in Botswana, for example, with an infection.
I was to ask that question. Do you ever get sick? Have you ever gotten sick along the way?
I did. 2 times. It's been a bit hard, a bit tough. First one was in Botswana, when I was about to cross the Kalahari. And I remember my friend, if you have anthrax, you're gonna be the first case in 40 years that I see of anthrax, right? So I'm having like a big infection on my foot. I was like very not knowing what's going on, high fever. I was for 5 days. My legs were very inflamed. And then I recover myself, I commit, and then I cross the Kalahari Desert, right? That was a tough one. And then the other one, it was in Tanzania. I was in the Rift Valley, living with the Maasai, out of any kind of tourism industry, just living purely with them. And you know that the Maasai people, they usually drink milk from the cow. They also drink blood. So, you know, I was like, yeah, like, sure, like, let's drink, you know, like the cow milk. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And then when I drink the cow milk, after 30 minutes, I started to feel so bad, so bad. And then I told them, like, I need to go, like, right now. So I had 42-degree fever. I traveled for more than 3 hours in a bus to get back to Arusha, extremely. 42-degree fever, or like almost losing my conscious. And I was for 2 days in Arusha with infection from the milk of the cow, which is something that, you know, I shouldn't do it.
That is what you get for trying things you're not used to.
There you go, right? Like, don't do it again. Yeah, that was 2 tough times. That after that, I was like, oh my God, like how I'm going to walk again? I'm feeling weak, you know. But again, it's everything is about recompose yourself and commit. It's all over in a cycle. If you let your brain or your mind be like, I can't do it, then you're telling yourself you can't do it, then you're gonna break for sure. But if you overcome and you're like, yes, just let me recover and I will make it, and then you go for it, you're fine.
They say if you think you can, then you can. If you think you can't, then you can't. It's all up to you.
Right. Yeah. It's what you tell yourself.
Yeah.
It's what you tell yourself. That's a powerful tool for real. It's how you attract what you claim inside yourself. So yeah.
All right. You mentioned something to do with the terrains, and I would just love to know what's the most difficult or challenging terrain that you've had to go through.
I will have to go back to desert terrains, desertic terrains, savanna terrains, and mountains. For example, Malawi is a very it has a lot of mountains, right? It's a country with a lot of mountains, also besides the lake, which is beautiful. But that is a challenge because you cannot commit to do a lot of kilometers per day. You know, I kept it like 15, 12, because I have my backpack. Sometimes the terrain is like, you know, the levels of the terrain are quite high, quite low. You go up and down. So mountains and desert, I have to come to that too. Is the most extreme, or when you feel most tired, or you gotta really you gotta be focused on every day what you do. Yeah.
What's the most interesting story you can tell from, you've done 8 countries, so just from 3, if you can pick 3 countries and tell me about an interesting story from each of the 3 countries.
Okay, I will give you one of Kenya. Okay, I start with the other 2. One interesting, very shocking, by the way. It's in Zimbabwe. I was, for example, arrested on the town of Bulawayo for not wearing a face mask. And which was very funny about this is that it was a police officer that just arrested me, and he was not wearing a face mask, which was quite funny. And then they arrested me, and they handcuffed me in a very aggressive way, took me to the police station and said, you pay $1,000 or you could go to a trial. And I'm like, come on, like there's no way I'm gonna pay $1,000 and go to a trial just because I'm not wearing a face mask that you are not even wearing, you know? So that was quite a thing, and I had to pretend to be a journalist and say, hey, I'm a journalist, I'm documenting things here in Zimbabwe. I hope this is not a mistake, right? And they were like, well, maybe it is. Let us just, you know, let you go calmly. And I'm like, thank you. No, but even that is funny now, but that was a pushy situation. I was for 3 hours handcuffed. They were like threatening me to go to prison if I don't pay. So that was a very shocking situation that I didn't expect, and I think it was very unfair. And then in Botswana, I was attacked by an Hippo. I was charged by an Hippo on the Okavango Delta. On a sunrise morning, beautiful sunrise morning on the Okavango Delta. And then this hippo that was marking the territory the whole night on the lagoon, I was with a local paddling through the canoe, and then this hippo just came out of the water looking at us. And then my colleague, he was like a little like worried. He was like, I think this is not safe. He's looking at us, and then the hippo just came underwater, and boom, he showed up in front of us, like running toward us, mouth open. And then we managed to put the mokoro, the traditional canoe, on the side on the shore, and then we had to like get out of the mokoro very quick, and then the hippo stopped, and he came back into the lagoon. So that was a very...
I mean, I'm already getting the adrenaline as you tell that story. I can imagine, being in that moment.
It was very, very insane, actually. Oof. And it was one of these moments that you don't think, you just like go because you're like, oh my God, like what can I do, So that was very interesting. And then a third story about Kenya, I'll give you one. In the Lamu Island, in Lamu, is a lot of donkeys, right? The locals use the donkeys a lot to go back and forth inside the island. So I was like, this is interesting. Then I spoke with one of the locals and I said, sorry, can I have your donkey? I would like to walk with the donkey all around Lamu Island. And he was like, yeah, sure. So he gave me this beautiful donkey, which her name was Lucy. And then I walked with Lucy for some days around Lamu Island, which she became my friend. That was very cool. In the beginning, she didn't trust me. She was like, who are you? Why are you taking me here, And I was not on her. I was walking with her. And then all the locals were like, my friend, come on, walk with her. Like, go on her. Like, no. I'm walking with Lucy. I'm not walking on Lucy.
Yeah.
And then it was nice. We were camping together, and it was a fun time to walk with a donkey. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Those are three.
Yeah,
Do you want to add one more?
One more, okay. Yeah. Then I gotta come back maybe to the Kalahari. It was one night before I encountered the Bushmen in the middle of the Kalahari Desert that I slept surrounded by lions. They were roaring, when they vocalized, they did the vocals. They were doing that around my tent for the whole night. And that was a very stressful moment. And I think that was the moment that I really stressed much myself in the whole journey. Because you are in the absolute dark, you're listening to them, they are around you, you don't know where they are. And that gets you a little bit of the adrenaline of, okay, I don't know really what to do. So I was patiently waiting in my tent, holding the knife. That's what I could do. And until 6 a.m., the whole night, they were roaring next to the tent. So then at 6 a.m., they were gone, 6:30, and then I could continue my journey. So that was also a very, very risky one.
So how long do you take in a specific country? Is it the same for every country, or it depends?
As much as the visa allows me, first. And then if I think or feel that I may need more days, then I just extend my visa, which in most of the countries is very easy. So yeah, and in terms of time, that is not a problem. Usually you can extend easily. So yeah, I would say maybe they usually give you 90 days per country. So 90 days, usually it is enough to cover some countries. It's not the case of Tanzania. Of course, I extended. So yeah, it depends.
Yeah. What's your experience this far, from having experiencing all this on human impact on nature or on the planet generally?
Well, it is a huge impact of human activities on the planet. But talking specifically about Africa, I could see, especially when you speak with the elders, the elder people that they've seen a lot, they are the ones that they can wisely tell you how it was and how it is now. And sometimes they tell you simple things as before here it was a lake, when it rained it was a lake here. I remember this was in Zambia. But now for 15-20 years we don't see it anymore, and all the fish is gone. So we have to move ourselves, go to different places to fish. Why? They don't know why. But of course it's because they're having more extreme droughts, extreme dry weather, in this case in Africa. So the climate change is there, and it's also true that sometimes people think climate change is only about warm, like, oh, it's getting warm, it's getting hot, this is the climate change. Well, it's not only that, it's also like it's more floods. The animals have to move themselves from the ecosystems that they were, because maybe they don't find food, they don't find food there anymore, and they have to move away. It's many things compiling when we talk about human activities on impact on nature, right? And it is there. And when you travel slow, this is something that you really see and observe. So again, talking with the elders is what you see when they tell you stories about, oh, like 50 years ago we had, I don't know, cheetahs here, you know, we have elephants that they used to come to graze over here, and then they don't come anymore because, you know, trees have, it's gone because, you know, they cut the trees, deforestation or whatever. So all of these things are present, you know, and it's crazy to see sometimes, as I see in the news all over the world, that people say like, climate change is not real. No, come on, like how come? Well, that's because maybe it's against their interest to say that it's real. That is the only people that will deny forever that, of course not, no, it's not there. It is real. I've seen it with my own eyes, human impact in a very slow, from the little things to the bigger scale, right? But I've seen it, and I can tell that this is because of human impacts that we are doing this. So, yeah, I mean, to conserve the planet is a long journey to go. Luckily, it's been agreements, you know, as we go between the most relevant nations of the world. They're swimming towards that direction of conservancy and sustainability for the planet, and that's the way where we have to go, because otherwise we care much about artificial intelligence, we care much about all these things that are popping out nowadays very easy, but we don't care much, or it seems like, yeah, the planet is there, but you know, it's holding it. The planet is holding it. Let's see how it goes.
It's the most important thing.
It is the most important thing. If the planet is over, then what's, you know, my grandchildren or my children, like which planet are they going to live in? I want to leave a legacy for my children to live in a planet where they feel peace. They can still enjoy, for example, the snows of the Kilimanjaro, which are disappearing. You know, they can still enjoy the animals in the wild, you know, not being ambushed or being, you know, taken away of their environment. This is what it's about, and this is why my journey is about.
Yeah. Okay, as we wind up, you were chosen as the tourism ambassador for Zanzibar. How did that happen, and how are you taking that?
Well, I have to thank, first of all, because that happened thanks to one of my main partners, Merit Concept, which is my filming partner and media here in East Africa. They were absolutely great. They are with me now in this process of shooting the movie documentary in this section of the continent, because I cannot do everything myself. And they are the ones that, as my media partner, connected me to the government of Zanzibar. So everything started as a campaign, you know, as a new campaign for the Zanzibar government for sustainability. They have this campaign running right now called Greener Zanzibar, which I really connected about, which is more about like sustainability tourism in the whole archipelago and all that. And I felt like, wow, this is great, like let's go and do it. And then as I was there, one thing came to another, and I just found myself in the parliament of Zanzibar being recognized by the ministry as the tourism ambassador of Zanzibar, of sustainable tourism ambassador in the whole world, if I can say. So it is an honor for me to be recognized in such a way, because it really aligns with what I believe in terms of sustainability. So I really carry with a huge honor that they chose me among all other people that they have, you know, chose or to have this recognition.
Okay, if you may just give people your social media handles so that they may keep up with the journey as we say goodbye.
Sure, my social media handle is Pablo Nemo on Instagram, and thank you very much for inviting me. I just want to finish thank you to all my sponsors, all my partners here in Kenya, Safari Trails, Hans Paul. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a great pleasure.
All right, thank you for coming through. All right, that is all we had right here on all the time we had right here on Good Morning Kenya. Make sure to follow Pablo Nemo, because I am also so curious and I cannot wait to see that documentary, the movie documentary. I am sure that it is going to be captivating. Until next time, which is tomorrow, same time and place, I have been your host, Vivian Ndegwa. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Good, right?